Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. In a different note, in my second khutbah, brothers, I want to address an issue that's quite prominent in the media over the last day or two, and will probably be ramped up in the next week or so. And that's the banning of Islamic organizations. The banning of Islamic organizations. And it is for the first time that I will say. One of the groups that were to be banned is called Hizb ut-Tahrir, or to be sought for banning is Hizb ut-Tahrir. And I will say openly, for the first time, I have been with this organization for over a decade. And at no time, and over that decade, have I witnessed, have I read, have I encountered any advocation of violence. Any advocation of violence. It cannot ban this group. The government cannot ban this group, because to ban the group means to proscribe it as a terrorist organization. It doesn't have that evidence. And here is the catch. Here is the catch for you and me as a Muslim community. What it is trying to do is ban ideas, ban radicalism, ban extremism. So say that anyone who supports this is an extremist or is a radical organization, and therefore any of its activities would therefore be banned, and by virtue of that fact it extends to those individuals who engage in those activities, including standing up for the Prophet ﷺ against his cartoons. That could be seen as a radical thing. That could be seen as an extremist thing. Because when you stand up against a Charlie Hebdo cartoon, you're standing up against the values of freedom of speech, let's say. So it's banning that will lead to not even proscribing the group or banning the group, but to target its members, to target the individuals. And those individuals are people like me. And I record my khutbahs so that I will never be quoted out of context, so that sound bites will not be taken from me. So I record my khutbahs and I have them available, and I have my defenses ready. And you are witnesses, brothers, as to what I've said over the last, subhanAllah, 7, 8, 9 years of talking in khutbahs. So I will say this unequivocally, that really, if this government is calling for the ban of radicalism and extremism, then it should ban its own self. Are they not the ones, brothers, who support dictators and turn a blind eye to the oppression of these dictators in the Muslim lands? Al-Sisi is a recent one. Nouri al-Maliki is another recent one. And there are many others before them. There was Gaddafi, there was, Tunisia. Well, why did the uprisings happen? They're all oppressors. So they support these dictators. And they turn a blind eye to their oppression. They are the ones, brothers, who send their fighter jets to kill, maim, injure, demolish our homes, make widows, and create refugee camps. They are the ones who send their jets and their military into our lands. They are the ones who send the drones to kill our children. They are the ones who kill our young children with their drones. They are the ones who support the Jews from this country to go and fight the Palestinians and kill them on their beaches, kill their children in the beaches. They are the ones, brothers, who supported fighters right from this country when they opposed Russia in Afghanistan. They are the ones, brothers, who supported fighters from this country in the Spanish Inquisition and in the Spanish Civil War. They are the ones who supported, brothers, just years ago, Muslims going to Libya to fight because it served their best national interest. They are the ones who did that. If you heard the interview of Brother Usman Badar on this morning, these were the questions that were being asked to him. Why will you not move from opposing to condemnation? If somebody comes to you and says, I want to go and fight, what will you tell him? These are the questions they pose. It's Usman Badar today, it'll be you tomorrow, believe me. Let's say they ban Hizb ut-Tahrir. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? It's not about a group. It's about ideas. It's about coming to a particular verse in the Quran and then skipping it. You know what I mean? So you read the Quran, when you come to khutba alaykum al-qital, you flip it, khalas, you know, turn the page over. I won't read that. Yeah? So that's what it's about. It is about banning what they call extremism and radicalism, when they are in fact, brothers, by virtue of the things that I've said, they are in fact the radical extremists. Isn't it extremist? Isn't it extremist that you send troops to Islamic lands, create refugees, and when the refugees come here, you let them drown in the ocean as if they are garbage? You send them off to this island, you send them off to that island, as if they are garbage in the ocean. Isn't it? Isn't it the hypocrisy on their part, brothers, that they turn the tide against the Muslims and push them into a corner and to try to silence them from speaking against their foreign policy? That's about their best national interest. And what is their best national interest? For a capitalist, is nothing but to accumulate wealth, stealing our resources. Let's face it, our forefathers came here, you and I are here because we sought a better way of life. We sought a better way of life because we could not find it, they could not find it in the Islamic lands. Would we leave? No. There's a possible reversal happening. People want to go back to the Islamic lands because they're now educated, they know what to do, but there are political obstacles. That's what it is, brothers. So it is hypocrisy on their part to turn the tide onto the Muslims and tell them to justify their position, justify their action. So who's radicalizing the youth? Who's radicalizing the youth? Do they really think that the Muslims are stupid to not sit back and sit and watch? Do they think that their set of 5 channels are the only media news that they get these days? The world has moved on. So they, therefore, are taking this radical step of banning the discussion, radical step of banning dialogue, radical step of banning debate, legitimate debate against their foreign policy. You hold this view, you're an extremist. You oppose this, you're a radical. You win people over to this idea, you're a radical extremist. Therefore, you deserve to be jailed. That's what it is. So indeed, by their own measure, they are the ones who are radical and extremists. They are the ones who are compromising on their own values of free speech. And I'm not the only one that's saying this. Non-Muslim writers are saying this. Read the Australian, read the Independent, read the Guardian. You'll find that their own thinkers, their own Lowy Institute people are the ones who are raising these questions. That it's a decay of society now. Go back to Rome, that's what happened. Subhanallah. There is nothing to fear. As I said, there shouldn't be no bickering in the community about this. What this requires is a solid stand from the community. We should be reading from the same page. Whatever dimension you come from, whatever background you come from. This is not a time to be finger pointing, blame gaming, and this is not a time to be labeling each other. This is a time to recognize truth as the truth is. To speak the truth as the truth should be. To put the blame where the blame should be, not on the Muslims. No, I know you and I want to move on with our lives. We want the oppression to end in the Islamic lands. We want the dictators out. We want the foreign troops out of our lands. We want what we have for the Muslimin all over the world. We don't want them to be butchered by the regime in Burma, or Syria, or Palestine, or elsewhere. Isn't it? So speaking against that is now radicalism and extremism. Shut your mouth is what they're saying. It's a time for us to take a strong stand. It's not about a group, it's about this idea. It's about Islam. It's about confining Islam. Putting a version of Islam in the community. That's what it is. This is an attack on Islam. And for us all brothers, This is a time to reflect on and take a strong stand.